Your body is going to be sending you messages this week. A heaviness in your chest, a lightness when you think about saying yes to something, maybe a tightening in your gut. This is your somatic intuition. And this week's astrology is going to activate it. And if you tune in, you can develop what's called clairsentience. And that is going to be a superpower for you this week. If you've been sitting on the fence about something, unsure what decision to make in your business, in your life, there's a really powerful transit that we are going to dive into this week. So you can develop this skill and help you make empowered decisions. So I keep hearing the same thing from my clients. They have this big vision. They want to grow. They have a desire to do more, but they're not trusting the signals within them. They're not trusting their own intuition. There's this nagging self doubt. They second guess, they over research, and they're waiting for external validation, permission. And this week's Cazimi, Mercury Cazimi in Taurus, is going to give you a direct transmission in your body. And in this video, I'm going to teach you how to listen to your body to get the messages. So, getting out of your head into your body and allowing that to guide you this week, because there's a really powerful transit called the Mercury Cazimi that's going to support you with this. So, we are going to break down all of the astrological transits in this week's Planetary Pulse so that you can understand the energetic terrain ahead. And we are going to dive deep into the Mercury Cazimi, talk about what clairsentience is, how to develop it, how this Mercury Cazimi in Taurus specifically activates it. And we are also going to be going deep into how to hold the wound and a new beginning simultaneously, because this new moon that comes at the end of the week is coming right alongside a Mars-Chiron conjunction. So we'll get into all of it on this week's Planetary Pulse. Welcome. Let's begin with today, May 10th, this evening. We are going to get a Sun in Taurus, sextile Jupiter in Cancer at 20 degrees of both signs. And this is really lovely energy. It's juicy, it's nurturing. So the Sun is our vision, it's our sole purpose. And when it gets activated by Jupiter, particularly in these two signs, there is opportunity for your soul vision to be nurtured and to feel really supported. So notice what your vision is calling you today and the opportunities that come alongside it. This is about really showing up with a generosity of spirit. And this is such a powerful thing to do in our businesses when we're acting from an abundance mindset rather than scarcity, like I need to hold all of my offers and my frameworks close at hand and keep this shine within me, this light kind of hidden. That dims our light. And when feel like we have more than enough, people pick up on that. So showing up and maybe giving someone a free intro offer could be something that you do today, and doing it in a way that lights you up. I think that is going to stimulate new opportunities for you. Okay, May 12th, the moon moves into Aries. And so for the next little while, every time the moon goes through Aries, it's going to be activating Saturn, Neptune, and Mars and Chiron, this stellium that we have still really activating the sign of Aries. So when the moon comes through, you feel it acutely in your body. So there might be a feeling of urgency or restlessness, maybe a physical ache that feels a bit confusing that you can't name. While that moon in Aries really wants to move, there's a lot of energy being held in Aries, and it's not necessarily the most easeful moment for all of us Aries folks right now. So, really, noticing your impulses whenever the moon is in Aries and giving yourself some grace to just name the confusion or the challenges that come up and give yourself some compassion around that. So then we get some support on that same day, even if the moon in Aries might come up against some challenges going through those planets with in Mercury in Taurus sextile Jupiter in Cancer, again at 20 degrees. So, another really lovely transit for opportunities. And here you can be generous with your message. Let yourself speak freely about the value of what you do and trust that those opportunities are going to get stimulated when you share, maybe share a tip, share a practice, that Mercury and Taurus. What's something that people can practically do based on your offer, and let that sort of stimulate opportunities, and especially for building relationships with Jupiter and Cancer. We're finishing up this Jupiter and Cancer transit in June. We still have some yummy Jupiter and Cancer opportunities here to really be nurturing a soul kind of family in your business. So, I strongly feel that the future of business is going to be leaning more and more on the value of the relationships that we nurture. And they don't all have to be just transactional relationships. It's give and take, and Jupiter's asking you to be generous in what you give and trust that it's going to come back to you when you need it. So that Mercury there is inviting you to be generous with some of your knowledge, with some of your expertise, and trust that that's going to stimulate opportunities for you. Okay, so the centerpiece of the week is occurring on May 14th when Mercury is in a Cazimi in the sign of Taurus, 23 degrees of Taurus. So we're going to give this a little bit of space because this is an important transit. So a Cazimi is when a planet is at the exact same degree as the sun. And so we call that being in the heart of the sun. And so the sun is, the spirit, it's what's eternal and it's wisdom. And so whenever a planet is Cazimi with the sun, it gets infused with a direct transmission from spirit. And so Mercury, the messenger energy planet, is getting that direct transmission from spirit. And this is in the sign of Taurus. So it's not necessarily coming as a mental flash, but it arrives somatically through the body. Taurus is the earth. It's slow, it's sensory, it's sensual, physical. And the wisdom of Taurus lives in that felt experience rather than logical analysis. So May 14th is a really wonderful day for slowing down and listening to what your body is already telling you. So there are different ways that we experience intuition. And, just like our physical senses, some of these are stronger than others, depending on who you are. So you might have great eyesight, but maybe your hearing isn't quite as sharp. And the same is true for the intuitive senses. So clairvoyance would be when you receive visions. Maybe you see images, maybe you read auras, and you can physically see the aura of people. There's all these different kind of clair energies. And today I'm going to talk about what's called clairsentience. And this is one that is one of my most attuned intuitive senses. So, clairsentience is when you feel intuitive information in your body. So, what this looks like for me is when I'm maybe pulling a tarot card and I feel kind of like a wave of energy in my body. I might feel a tingling in my hands or like a warmth in my belly. The same thing happens when I'm reading an astrology chart. I get this grounded sensation and kind of like a sense that everything has settled in my body when something clicks into place in the chart. There might be like a lightness in my heart when I just know that I'm making the right decision. Or alternatively, maybe a heaviness in my stomach and a knot when I know something isn't right. And so you may have been receiving these signals, and the question is whether you have been trusting them or just kind of writing them off. And so on the day of the Mercury Cazimi, this is such a powerful day to slow down if you've been kind of sitting with a business decision and let your body give you the answer. So just close your eyes and maybe lay out on the grass if you can, or in the soil, or just, take some time to shut down your computer, and just sit with yourself, with your body, and bring that question to mind and just notice what comes up in your body, and you can name it without trying to interpret it right away. So, "Oh, I feel tightness in my shoulder," or "I feel a tingling in my fingers." And just let yourself observe and witness for a while before you start to interpret what does this actually mean for me. Okay. So from there, we get the moon moving into Taurus on May 15th. And we are, moving towards that new moon in Taurus, which occurs on May 16th. And this is happening the same day as Mars coming into a conjunction with Chiron at 28 degrees of Aries. So that kind of infuses the Mars Chiron signature into the upcoming lunation. So whatever is happening during the new moon becomes part of the seed that will unfold over the next lunar cycle, the next 28 days, as well as you can even look at these lunar cycles over the whole year, like between a Taurus new moon and the next year's Taurus new moon. So, a new moon in Taurus is really wonderful for setting intentions for abundance, for stability, for peace. It's a Venus ruled sign. So, like calling in everything that's sweet, the kind of relationships that really nourish you, calling in the material resources that are going to support the lifestyle that you want. And we also have this Mars conjunct Chiron. So Mars in Aries is a battle cry. It's that force that pushes life through the darkness, whether it's a baby exiting the womb or a sprout pushing through the soil. And Chiron is the wounded healer archetype. And this signature together, it's the place where we've really had to fight, maybe to be seen, to be accepted as who we are, to allow our authentic self to be allowed to be. There might be a wound around that has potentially held you back in your business. And the beauty of Mars and Aries, maybe beauty is not the right word, but the strength of the courage of Mars in Aries. It's like, especially with Neptune here over the next 14 years in Aries, we can think of this spiritual warrior archetype. And what are you willing to fight for? So the peace that we are calling in, the abundance, the stability that we're asking for in our new moon intentions is being asked to be protected by that Mars and Aries, and really protecting what is most tender and vulnerable within us. And, there's this wound that I'm sensing into with, Chiron making its final kind of transit through Aries, this myth of needing to do it all alone, right? And that can have left us feeling inflamed, angry, burnt out. And we are in this moment in our collective consciousness where we are going through a healing process around that. And I think a lot of the like Jupiter, Sun, and Mercury kind of energy, that's also what's coming up to is offering this kind of healing balm to help us kind of tend to that inflammation that we have felt like we've had to carry our businesses all on our own. We've had to do it all alone. And so this new moon is here as an elixir, to call in something new, a new way of, being that spiritual warrior, being that authentic leader, and also, you know, doing that in the context of soul family, of collective abundance. So I hope that helps you kind of balance the different energies in your new moon rituals on May 16th. And then later that night, we're going to be getting a shift with Mercury moving into Gemini. And so we're really getting a feel of the rhythm of and the wisdom of the rhythm of the zodiac this week. So, we've got that Aries energy, that pushing through the darkness into the light, life being born, and then Taurus comes and settles us and gives us the slow pace to um, life to organically grow. Um, and we move from that fixed earth energy into Gemini, into this mutable air Gemini. And so that then brings us back upward and our energy back up. We can get a little sleepy in Taurus land, and stagnant is where, if we stay in that energy for too long, it can stagnate. So then the Gemini energy is coming through with Mercury entering Gemini on May 16th. And Mercury in Gemini, Mercury is at home in Gemini. It can do what Mercury does best. It can come up with a bazillion ideas. It can connect all sorts of different people, ideas, making connections. And so the body wisdom that you received in the Cazimi now becomes the compass for the conversations that this Mercury and Gemini transit is going to stimulate. So, moving from the body and now out into the air, the conversations that we have. So, checking back into what did your body tell you this past week? And then let that guide you in, okay, who am I ready to connect with? What's the message? And Mercury in Gemini is going to be very curious, and we're going to be talking about this next week because the very next day Mercury will be joining Uranus, and this is going to be a big transit that you're going to want to tune into. So make sure you come back next week where we will do a deep dive into Mercury and Uranus coming together. Next week, the sun will also be joining Uranus. So it's going to be a very stimulating week. So go ahead and just enjoy that slow Taurus energy this week. And if this landed for you, if some part of your body recognized itself in what I described, I want to invite you to take that knowing somewhere where it can grow organically. And I am running a free workshop called Intuition to Income. It's going to be happening live on May 22nd. And it is designed for spiritual entrepreneurs who know they have something powerful to offer and are ready to stop second guessing the intuition, and start growing a business that really reflects their inner knowing. So the link to sign up is in the description below, completely free. Come as you are, bring the wound and the vision, and that is exactly where you need to be. And if you found this video helpful, leave me a comment. I'd love to know what's your primary intuitive sense, whether that's clairsentience, clairvoyance, clairaudience, something else. Tell me below. Tell me how the transits are landing for you, and we will see you at the next one.